Boteris Agency on Main Street in Allenhurst, which is between Deal and Asbury Park. At the time, my mother and I said, well, you're in real estate, why don't we invest in something in the area, you know, put some money into it. Now in 1974, it didn't cost much to buy a house in this area.
We should point out, 73, 74, the U.S. economy was in a pretty serious recession. Stock market was falling out of bed, so.
It was gas lines. So
that was more like 76, but whatever.
Well, 74 also had some issues. In any event, I went through the listings, and what do I find? With this cute little cottage in West End, New Jersey, which is kind of geographically challenging because West End is on the northeast corner of Long Branch, but I don't know if anybody has any historical information as to why it's West End when it's not. In any event, here's this little cottage, 1¼ blocks off the ocean, for $20,800. So I called my mother and I said, well, you know, in those days you put down 20%. And I said, what do you think? She said, well, let's go take a look at it. Well, we did. Now, the house was owned by a man by the name of Frank Crisanti. If any of you are all familiar with West End, he owned the Windmill, the hot dog place on Ocean Avenue. Frank had bought the house for his old mother, who was coming to the United States to live permanently from Italy. So he bought this little cottage and he renovated it. So everything in it was pretty new at the time. It was on an undersized lot, 25 feet wide, went back about 80 feet to a parking lot. The bathroom was new, the kitchen was new, and the house had obviously not been lived in. So we went in, the two of us, my mother and I, and we put our 20% down and we bought the house. So we are now landowners in West End, and we have 7.5 West End Court.
So what was the attraction of that particular neighborhood as a place to buy? I mean, obviously, you know, you've got to find the right price if you're going to become, you know, a homeowner. But beyond that, you have to be concerned about what's around you. What was it like back then?
Well, in 1974, West End was kind of the funky, psychedelic area of Long Branch. It had its own coffee house, the Inkwell, which is still there today in a different location.
And I can tell you, Bruce has been there. My sister has seen him.
He'd been there, and it had, at that time, we had a resident celebrity in Melanie, you know, Candles in the Rain, Look What They've Done to My Song Ma. I've got a brand new roller skate and whatever.
Brand new key, yeah.
Yes. So in any event, and it was they had a lot of mom and pop stores. It was an old section of Long Branch. It had Mother Antiques. If anybody knew Mother Tony Rioli, the late Tony Rioli, he was quite a character. It had Il Vento's Italian restaurant, an old family. Actually, it was right behind Bruce's house. And of course, it was the time. It was a perfect place to buy a house near Mommouth University, Mommouth College at the time, near the beach. And I mean, it was cheap, so we would rent. So that's why we bought it. It was a funky neighborhood at a good time and a good price.
Okay, so you've got the house, you know, you've written all the papers, closed the deal. So now you've got to get it ready. I mean, how long did it take you to get it ready before things started to happen?
Well, as I said, it really didn't need a lot. It was pretty well it was the shape, it was in good shape at the time. But I will say this, and I'm going to say this because I can't believe somebody's asking $299,000 for this house. Because even at its prime, when we bought it, I mean, it sits up on cinder blocks. It has no foundation. And it was probably built by a family in the 20s or 30s as a summer cottage on an undersized lot. I mean, there's another little tiny house next to it, and then everything beyond it is 2 or 3 stories high. So the two of them are just sort of buried next to each other. So, you know, it was never an amazing place. The living room was 8 feet wide because the 2 bedrooms were right off the living room. So it was 8 feet for the living room and another maybe 8 feet wide for the bedrooms. They were tiny, and then you walked this bathroom, the kitchen, and a little area off the kitchen, and that was it. So, you know, it was not a major place. It was just an investment. So, the house is going to be rented. My mother and I are paying approximately $130 a month for the mortgage. So the rent can be it's gonna, you know, this is 1974. So I'm selling real estate. One day, we had just closed on the house, and it's about a week later, and I'm in my real estate office. And in one afternoon walks this couple. And the guy is kind of skinny and a little bit disheveled. He's got curly hair, but it's sort of matted. He's got kind of the beginning of a beard on his chin. He's got sandals on and cut-off jeans and a tenement t-shirt. And with him is this attractive young lady dressed exactly the same, except she's carrying a red rose. Obie, I know you're here, so you're going to jump on. Her name is Karen Altman or Alman. Okay. Anyway, they introduce themselves. Hi, he says. I'm Bruce Springsteen. I'm looking for a house. And I thought, oh, Bruce Springsteen. He said, oh yeah, that's that guy he goes to the Stone Pony or to the Student Prince at the time and does local concerts. Yeah, I know. He said, I said, yeah, I think I know who you are. He said, well, I need a place. I want to rent a house. And he said, I have this magazine. I honestly don't remember whether it was Time or Newsweek at the time. He said, there's an article in here about Columbia Records, and they've just signed two of us to extended contracts, Michael Murphy and me, Bruce Springsteen. Here's the article. And there's a picture of Michael Murphy and a whole 2 columns about Michael Murphy, and down here is this little piece about Bruce Springsteen.
If I could just interrupt for a second, I actually tried to find this article up the road at the Mommouth County Library the other day. I haven't tracked it down, but I don't doubt it was out there. The closest I came, there was a piece about Columbia Records and Time at the end of 1973. So that remains to be found. If you feel like looking for it, folks, it's wide open to you.
So Bruce said, I'm going to be, with this new record contract, I'm going to be making $350 a week. So I can pay up to $200 rent, for a house. I thought, $130 mortgage, $200, okay, I'll let you, I have a house. Sounds good. So I said, well, I can show you one. It's in, he said, well, I prefer Asbury Park. I said, well, I don't know anything in Asbury Park, but I have this place in West End, in Long Branch, right off Ocean Avenue, near the ocean. And I said, it's a, cottage, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Okay, he said, I can't see it today, but I'll be in, I have to go to New York tomorrow, but I'll be back on the bus from New York, right in Long Branch, about 3 o'clock. Can I meet you at the house? Okay, fine, that sounds like a plan. So I called my mother and I said, I think we rented the house. And so I said, but it's to a single guy, Bruce Springsteen. She knew nothing about him, and so it wasn't important. I said, well, he has a contract from a record, place, and he can pay the rent. 3 o'clock that afternoon, my mother and I are at the house. About 3:15, there's a knock on the door, and there's Bruce, looking a little sweaty. He was running. He said, the bus was late, and I had to run, 3 or 4 blocks to get here. Can I use the bathroom? Okay. Small house, so I said, my mother and I said, we'll go down to the other end of the house, so you have privacy. And I said, well, you can check out the bathroom when you're in there, in case because you rent the house, you're going to use it. So Bruce says, he comes out of the bathroom, he looks around. He said, wow, yeah, I really want to rent this house. He said, what do I do? I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, well, can I get a lease? I have to have a lease because Laurel Canyon, that's Mike Appel, the management group, is going to want to know how I'm spending my money. And he said, and I need furniture. Oh, I said, you need furniture? Yes, and he said, and I can't afford to pay any utilities. Okay. So I said, well, when can you move in, Bruce? He said, well, I could be in within, a week, 10 days, whatever. Okay. So I said, fine, I'll get a lease and I'll get furniture and it'll be all set. So 2 things. First thing I did was run down to Valenzano's office supply store, which was in West Long Branch, right near the college here, long gone because of Staples and, Office Depot. Picked up a couple of copies of a boilerplate lease. All it was is all you just fill in the name of the lessee, the leaser,